past waits to be called. The Chauvet Cave in France, discovered in the 1990s, has wall paintings of animals that came to life when the first visitors brought burning torches into the cavern 30,000 years ago, and more recently, when explorers first crawled in with their flashlights. Released from the still darkness by the light passing over them, the horses and bears appear to move. On the departure of both visitors and lamps, the darkness and stillness return, and once again time disappears. Without motion, there is no time, and that is just a fact. The theaters I've worked in banish complete darkness, primarily for reasons of safety, but also from superstition. After each performance, before the cast and crew depart, a single lamp called the ghost light is placed on stage and left to burn all night. On my way home after a show, I've often lingered by the ghost light, the theater now a dim cavern that an hour before was filled with life. I try to hear the echoes of the characters' lives that were played out that evening. My memories are such a light by which I look at my family's First World War history. As a teenager, I read a few of the hundreds of great-uncles and distant cousins' letters that had been sent back from the fighting in Europe, before setting them aside since I didn't appreciate the world in which they were written. Now that I am older, great-uncles and grandmothers stand ready along the backstage walls, letters in hand. Cluttered about them, like props for a play, are swords, German army belt buckles, photo albums, war medals, a Steyr 1916 revolver, and other family memorabilia. I want to bring my great-grandmother, Mary Elizabeth, and her sons into the light to hear how they navigated a war that brought needless destruction to millions. Among war's casualties are the civilizations that fight them. Unless you can convince yourself that there is a civilized way to kill fellow humans. The wounding of civilization is why, in a war's aftermath, countries begin the process of cleaning up. The post-war construction of monuments, remembrance rituals, and rhetoric is an opportunity for nations to present an acceptable accounting for the death and devastation that had just taken place. Presumably, that was the reason a German First World War trench mortar was installed at the cenotaph in front of my grade school in Richmond Hill, in whose classrooms I presumably learned everything I needed to know before becoming a teenager and moving on to high school. Because the Second World War, in which my father served, had a clearer moral purpose than the Great War, as the First World War was called, it has been easier to clean up after. The task of justifying World War II's 45 million deaths and massive public expenditures was more straightforward, since in 1939 Nazi Germany was obviously toxic and had to be defeated. But my great-uncle's war of 1914-1918, which killed an estimated 9.5 million soldiers, as well as the West's recent adventures fighting in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, didn't, for a lot of people, have much moral justification. That has meant that tidying up to successfully pack away their moral mess has been more difficult. One aspect of the cleaning up process is to forget the nightmarish realities of the conflict. Sadly, many of our remembrance rituals at city halls and cenotaphs, however honorably conducted in the name of remembering, have instead contributed to the forgetting. They ritualize memories of the wars in order to contain what is, in essence, uncontainable, namely incredible pain and unimaginable loss. But we have now entered the disputed territory called the politics of remembrance, and there will be more of that in this book. I've been encouraged by what historian Jonathan F. Vance said to me when I asked his assistance in building an alternative.